forward to the cloud and share my screen. And as I get going on this, I just want to, I thank everyone for being here, but also many of you, as you signed up and registered for this event, you had an opportunity to donate and to give to our winter appeal. And a lot of you did that or gave to the winter appeal at other times. So I just want to thank you for that. Your participation by being generous with your money is something that, we don't take for granted. It's a huge thing. People give with their time by volunteering. People give with their resources. People give with their knowledge and expertise. We all have something to add to this mission that we're on to inspire people to protect and enjoy birds. So very thankful for that. And man, I totally wish that we were outside looking at sandhill cranes together. But we'll get to that point for sure as we move on throughout this journey we're on. But today we get to just look at this. This is a picture I took at Whitewater Draw on Martin Luther King Day. There are thousands upon thousands of sandhill cranes at Whitewater Draw right now. Now you can revisit, I think it was, I can't remember if it was December. I think it was December or November when I talked about visiting Whitewater Draw. So I'm gonna put a link in the follow-up email with the YouTube channel where you can watch that video, that video where I talk about Whitewater Draw. But if someone was coming here from out of state, coming into Tucson, the month of February, Whitewater Draw is certainly a spot where I would say, hey, go and check this out. You got sandhill cranes, you got American widgeon here, you got northern pintail, you got snow geese kind of mixed in the middle here. There's quite a few different locations that we aren't going to touch on during this session right now. In fact, let me go to this next screen here. Dianza Trail is one of them. Of course, Santa Cruz Flats. This is a picture of the ag fields around Santa Cruz Flats. San Rafael Grasslands, look for long spurs or maybe a short-eared owl. I haven't really heard of any reports of short-eared owl out there this winter, but I suppose there probably could and should be one out there. Those are places that we talked about in January, talked about in December, talked about in November. So February is this kind of weird time, in between time, where we are really like anticipating spring migration. It's not here yet. So we still have all these wintering birds. And if you haven't visited any of those spots I just mentioned, those are areas that I would go and check out in February as well. They're all good. November, December, January, February, all those spots. And so don't neglect those. And if you have questions about those, we might have some time at the end to go back and, I can help you out with some of those locations. Or maybe there's a specific bird that you're looking for. But when it comes to February, in this session right now, we aren't going to so much hit on those spots because we've already done that. But what I want us to think about is just what to expect in February. So, think about food sources. So you see this, Nancy mentioned, who wants to hear about white-crowned sparrows? Well, I put a white-crowned sparrow here because it just kind of encapsulates the month of February. There's, along with sandhill cranes, there's just a lot of white-crowned sparrows in the area right now. So you're going to see a lot of these guys. They're going to be at different food sources. Like right here, it's on a four-wing saltbush. You look for four-wing saltbush. You look for other seeding plants. You look for hackberries. You look for, I'll add another berry bush on the tip of my tongue. What's the one that the Trogon likes? Anyways. The Pyracanthus. Yeah, Pyracanthus. That came to me right before. Oh man, thanks for helping me out there. The Pyracanthus. You look for berries, you look for seeds, and that's where the birds are going to congregate. And In February, you still want to stick to some of those lower elevations. Higher elevations, I know, like Florida Cane. I love going to Florida Cane at this time of year just because there's no one else there. But you're not going to have a really wide variety of species there. And so you go up Mount Lemmon, it's a great spot to go. You're going to see Steller's jay. You're going to see birds that you aren't going to see down here, but your variety is less as you move up in elevation. And, you know, for many of us, we love variety. So we stick in the lower elevations. That's why Whitewater Draw, Santa Cruz Flats, Danza Trail are also good because they're low. And also because all of those places also have some sort of water source. So if you're looking for a rarity, you're going to want to be around good food resources, and you're going to want to have some sort of water source around there. So that's why, you know, where the Santa Cruz River is flowing, whether it's down along the Danza Trail at Tubac, or whether it's at the Ina Road here in Tucson, or Whitewater Draw where there's a little bit of water, or Canoa Lake, Canoa Ranch where, you know, you have the lake there. So those, just think about those things as we go into February. So what I want to look at today is actually a little loop of hot spots that I've been going to recently. Went there at the first of the year. I went there again this past weekend, and I was just kind of blown away by the diversity and kind of the different types of birds that we see that are really similar to Santa Cruz Flats, but not as far out as the Flats. Sometimes it takes a long, you know, it's a little further out there to get into the Flats, and then you drive all around, then you have to go around Picacho Peak, and it takes an hour or something to get home. So a little bit closer to us is this little Miranda Loop. So Miranda is a town just on the northwest side of Tucson. It's, you know, I live in Midtown, so it takes about, you know, 30 minutes to get out to the Miranda exit off of I-10. And I'll take you to the map there so we can see that too. But we're going to look at a series of hotspots that I'm calling the Miranda Loop. And what we're seeing right here, this what has drawn a lot of people out to this area recently is that there's been quite a few rare birds. At this specific location that you're looking at right here, this is a little ditch. It doesn't look like much. You can see that there's some big old seed pods on these plants in here. I'm not a plant expert, so I'm not exactly sure what kind of plants those are, but there's some big seed pods. And so this is right off of Hardin Road. First, I'm going to share with you. Oh, I guess it's going to go to my email first. I don't want to look at that. If I can get, there it is. So here's here's a little Google map. You can see Tucson down here, this on the bottom of the screen. You go up I-10 up to Miranda, past the Twin Peaks exit, and you're going to go all the way up to the Miranda Road exit, which is, you can see right here. You take this Miranda Road exit, and as you get right off, you're gonna take almost immediate right, not on the frontage road, but immediate right on Miranda Road, and then that kind of is a little weird stop sign here, and then you'll head west on Miranda Road. And these are all a bunch of ag fields out here. In fact, let me turn on the satellite image. You should be able to see the satellite image now. You see all these ag fields now. This coming month, some of them could be flooded, some of them cannot, some of them are just being plowed. And as you drive down this road, you just kind of scan a little bit to see what's around. But our first spot is going to be down Miranda Road right before it turns. And this right here is Luckett. We go in here, Luckett Road. I'm going to take it off that. And we're going to come back down this spot, but the first spot we're going to go to is just up here off of Luckett on Hardin. And you're going to take a left on Hardin Road, and there's going to probably be a big field of sheep right here on your left. There's all, in the past few times, there's been just a lot of sheep. Don't get distracted by the sheep. And you're going to take a left on this Hardin, and you're going to look for a couple cottonwoods that are going to be just down the road a little bit. Right here. See these two big cottonwoods right here? You're going to come just past the cottonwoods, and I like to park right here along the side of the road. And so this is all private property through here, but what you can do is you park here on the side of the road and you walk down this little side road that goes to the south. And this little stretch, this little ditch right here between these two fields, you're going to pay attention to all along this ditch, and you're going to walk down to where there's like a little pump down here at the end of the ditch where it ends, a little Palo Verde tree. And this is all private property on this side, so you don't walk around over here. Just stay on this road. And this whole ditch right here is full of white-crowned sparrows and a whole bunch of other sparrows. And the cool thing that's happening right now in that area is that there's a really special bird there called a Harris's sparrow. This is a picture of the Harris's sparrow that I took on Saturday. Now, what it takes is you see that Harris's sparrow there. It's got this really nice, cool black face, really pink bill. If we go back to this white crown, it's really similar in size to the white crown sparrow. I mean, the face pattern is all different, but the back pattern is fairly close to the same. It's a little different, but it's going to take a little bit of time for you to just kind of sift through all the white crown sparrows. It took me about 50 minutes. I was glad my son, well, I was trying to talk my son into going with me, but it's probably good he didn't. He would have gotten tired of it. But patience pays off, and this little Harris's sparrow jumped up. And you can see here what it's feeding on. You got all these seeds that are coming down from these little pods here on these plants, and this whole ditch is full of them. And so there's a lot of other cool birds to be looking for in this area, along with Harris's sparrow, Savannah sparrow, song sparrow, Lincoln sparrow, Avert stogie. So like there's a lot of sparrow families. People have been seeing American goldfinches there, which is a pretty good one for Southeast Arizona. I know those of you in other parts of the country, American goldfinch isn't crazy. You'll be able to find lesser goldfinches there too. But loggerhead shrike, Say's phoebe for sure, and horned larks in these fields around it. So it's been a really good spot. A lot of people have been going there. And here's that little Palo Verde tree I was telling you about, and there's a little pump. So this is what the ditch looks like on that south side, the end of the ditch. You can't walk out here in these fields. Just stay on this road that's kind of over here on the left of this picture and look down into this ditch, and you'll be seeing white-crowned sparrows hopping everywhere and other birds. And it's a pretty cool spot. And let's see. Oh yeah, off in the distance, there's this is a bad picture I took through my scope, but the reason I have this picture here is because I just want you to be aware that these big, I think they're cottonwoods, I'm not sure, but there's some big trees off to the west. And the whole time I was there, there was blackbirds just flying everywhere around there. Certainly spots where you can see yellow-headed blackbirds closer, but it's just cool to see like the kind of the murmurations of blackbirds just moving around all over there. And the scope is helpful, but you don't necessarily need a scope to be able to see that they're yellow-headed blackbirds. But it's a neat area. It's kind of not an area that you would normally stop at. I don't know who stopped there initially and found the Harris's sparrow. I'm going to give them major props for finding that. But it's a nice little spot to start off your morning. And before I get into any questions here, if there are any, on that hardened road, so as you drove to that ditch spot, you probably drove right by some burrowing owls. this is probably the number one question that I've been getting recently, and why I wanted to focus on this Miranda Loop is because so many people are asking me, where can I go and see burrowing owls? There's a few spots around Tucson where you could see them, but I tell you what, there's, as some people here on this talk can probably attest to, like, these burrowing owls are always there, and they're very close, and it's an awesome opportunity to see burrowing owls, like, right up fairly close. Now, you want to be sure to give them some space, and I'm going to share with you how you can do that. But first, I'm going to go back to this. You can see this is a picture that I stopped. There's the great thing about this whole loop is that there's hardly any people out here. So it was kind of fairly early in the morning. I just stopped in the middle of the road. There was no one around. The burrowing owls are right over here on my left. You see this little irrigation ditch right here? They're literally right on the side of the road right here. And I took a picture of where Hardin Road meets Luckett, so that you can see how close it is to that intersection. You take this left on Hardin, and maybe 100 yards, maybe less than that, maybe a little more. But they're going to be right on the north side of the road. Over here on the right side, there's some good, this is where the sheep are going to be at probably, but there's some good pullouts, kind of open spot on the side of the road where you can get off the road, because it's probably not wise to just park right in the middle of the road like I'm doing here. But get off on the side of the road, and you can just set up a tripod and take pictures if you want. Make sure you're far enough off the road where you're not blocking everything. And also, you just want to make sure that you're not, you want to give the burrowing owl some privacy too. So you don't want to be right next to them. This is a picture I took with my phone right from my Jeep as I was right next to them. It's not a great picture, but it's with my phone. That's how close it is. I didn't zoom in or anything. And you can see this kind of concrete ditch. They're right along there. So it's a pretty amazing spot to be able to see the burrowing owls. And, there's usually the last 2 times I gone through there, I think I've seen like 3 burrowing owls, but there probably could be more through there. I know folks like, I think Dan Weiss is on this call, Tom's on this call. People have gone out there and taken amazing pictures. And so if you're looking for burrowing owls, this Hardin Road, and I'll go back to the map here really quick. You can see that this is Luckett going north and south. Luckett right here, going north and south off of Miranda Road, which is right here, right before the bend. Take that Luckett, and then literally just like right here is where these burrowing owls are at. And here's the satellite. You can see it's about right there. In the past couple times I've been there, there's been 2 roadrunners hanging out right here. I took a picture. I wish I had gotten a better picture. I would have shown it to y'all, but it was looked like a headless roadrunner. And there's northern harriers coming out here. So this is a fun road to be on. Hey Jim, do we have any questions for that section of Hardin Road or anything else?
Quite a few questions, and some of them are being answered by people, but mainly they like to know about the burrowing owls, what time of the day you see them, and are there tubes out there that are holes where they go into, and that's those kind of questions are there.
Yeah, so I don't believe there are any tubes right here. We're going to show you another spot where where Wild at Heart is doing a lot of work. I don't think that this part right here has to do with Wild at Heart. For those of you who know that more than I do, chime in if that's wrong. And I also say, I've been out there at different times of the day, and they've almost always been there. The only time I drove by there when I did not see them is on Saturday, early Saturday morning. I got out there pretty early, I was going to the Harris Sparrow spot at first, and drove by, and I might have missed them. I didn't see them, But I spent like an hour and a half at the Harris Sparrow spot, and I drove back, and they were all out. So burrowing owls are, what's good about them is you don't have to be there at night to see burrowing owls. You just drive by during the day, and usually they're outside of their burrow, kind of poking their head up, or standing, kind of looking sleepy during the day, and they'll hunt during the day too. But they're almost always out there. So no specific time that I know of, and that's what makes it so great.
And then Tom thought that Roger Clark was the one that saw the Harris Sparrow first.
Yeah, I that name rings a bell. It probably was Roger. He's been doing. Yeah, I see his name on the eBird report a lot. Thanks, Tom.
Yeah. And there's several comments about, Tom said that when it's very hot, the owls will go into the burrows. And then there's a question, does the wind drive them underground also?
Yeah, I mean, wind is horrible. I hate birding in the wind. So I guess I probably haven't, I usually don't bird when it's windy. So I don't know if that drives them out or not. And it drives me out. I guess that's the issue. So I don't know. But in February, the heat shouldn't be bad. So they should be out most of the day, if not all of the day.
That's all the questions right now.
Awesome. Thanks, Jim. All right. So that's one spot for burrowing owl. And even my daughter really liked this picture. She likes sleepy burrowing owls. Who doesn't like a sleepy burrowing owl? So here's the next spot here. After the Sparrow spot, the ditch, and then the spot on Hardin Road for the burrowing owls. I then like to drive up a little bit, get back on Luckett, go to the end of Luckett, and there's a cemetery out there, Arizona Veterans Memorial Cemetery. And there's also a good little watering hole for birds right in this area that I think has a lot of potential for some really cool, variety, maybe some rarities that show up. So this is the beginning of the cemetery right over here on the right of this ditch. You can see the buildings over here. This is where I like to park at first. So there's big agricultural fields that you'll see on the next slide over here on the left. And I like to look down this irrigation ditch. And almost every time I drive up, there's a great egret, or I've had neotropic cormorant here, belted kingfisher. This past Saturday, I had a common gallinule, which totally surprised me. I've had black crowned night heron right through here. So it's, as I like variety. So when I go to an area and I do one of these loops, I like to hit as many different spots to add new birds. And so it means different habitat. And water habitat like this is necessary to build up that list, or give you more options for new birds. So I like to check out this little ditch, and then on the other side, looking the other way from the ditch, you got these big agricultural fields out here. A scope is useful at different times. But I was watching female northern harriers, two of them kind of hunting together out here in these ag fields this past Saturday. Almost every time I'm here in the winter, I have these northern harriers, other raptors to be looking for. It could be like Crescent caracara, could be Merlin, maybe a ferruginous hawk in the winter. I haven't seen ferruginous hawk there, but I know other people have. Always a great spot for roadrunners and killdeer, mountain bluebirds out in the ag fields. You don't really think of bluebirds as agricultural bird species to be looking for, but in the winter, they really are. I don't know, I was going to say prevalent, maybe prevalent is not the right word, but they're around. So be looking for bluebirds. Could run into western bluebirds too, but mountain bluebirds in these ag fields, it's a good spot in February to be looking for them. I know they're starting to move out in February, but you can still catch them, especially early February. Western meadowlarks for sure, to be looking for those out in these fields. And like I said, I'm always looking out in these fields, especially for Caracara. You're still in Pima County here, so Caracara can be difficult to find in Pima County if you're not going out towards Ajo and those areas. But this certainly can be a good spot. As you drive down, just past where I showed you that first picture with the irrigation ditch, this is just past the entrance to the cemetery. Oh, my phone's ringing. Sorry about that. So you drive just past the entrance to the cemetery on your right. You can drive through the cemetery and look for birds in there. Every time I drive back there, I never really see much. But I do like the end of this road, especially now because between January 1st and when I went on Saturday, they did a big, they burned through here. So last time I was here, this is all like chock full of really high brush and weeds, and it was kind of hard to get in there and look around. But it's all burned now, and they've been putting in water. You can see right along this edge of the road, there's been water through here too. So now is a good time to check it out. Park at the end of this road, and this is what it looks like at the end of the road. You got common yellowthroats, you have sage phoebes and black phoebes, you have vermilion flycatchers. And of course, in February, a lot of the expected birds would be like ruby-crowned kinglet, lark sparrows, Abers towhees. But it's just, I think it's a ripe area for more. This whole section right here. So as you park, you kind of walk past here. Get back to this. You can see you park here. You walk past here, and this section just past these little red signs is on the left. This is what you're looking at, and then on the right, looking to the east, this is what you're seeing, and this is full of water through here too. So there is tons of white-crowned sparrows, goldfinches and house finches, and really cool looking young male vermilion flycatcher. And I know those birds aren't rare, but it's just, this is an area that we need to pay more attention to. It doesn't get a lot of visitation. It is an eBird hotspot, and it's an area we should pay more attention to. So once we'll open up for questions here after we look at Stingray Road. So continuing this loop, and I'm using the term loop a little bit loosely here, I guess, because what I'm going to show you here on the map, I'll show you exactly where that cemetery is at as well. So as you come up off of Miranda Road, and you go north on Luckett, we talked about Hardin Road, you go to the very end of Luckett, and you can see here, Arizona Veterans Memorial Cemetery. And if you put it on satellite, you can see exactly what we just looked at, where you drive to the end of Luckett, which is right here, and this is where you park, and this is that irrigation ditch. And you park here, and you can walk along this ditch right here, where all the water's at. Look out in these fields. This one had a bunch of water in it, and look down this to the east right here. So once you're done with that, what you're going to do is you're going to come down to Stingray Road. Now, don't let this fool you, because Google Maps wants to fool you. You come back down Luckett, and here it says Treatment Plant Road, West Treatment Plant Road. This is now called Stingray Road, which is a much cooler name, I think. And this is just like the Treatment Plant Road suggests, at the end of this is, in fact, the Miranda Wastewater Treatment Plant. And along with the treatment plant, you have this big open field right here. You see, you have these green fields. Those are active agricultural farmland fields. And then you have this big barren field right here. This is a section that Wild at Heart, it's a nonprofit group that works with Burrowing Owls, and they have put in a bunch of different pipes and all sorts of different things for burrowing owls to thrive in this area. So if you take this Stingray Road and you can park right around in here and look out into this big barren field. And if you have a scope, it's helpful because you'll see little burrowing owl heads kind of popping around in different places. Now, sometimes they can look like dirt clods. Sometimes they look like round-tailed ground squirrels. Sometimes I'll look out there and be frustrated because I can't find any. And other times I'll see like 5 or 6, 7 or 8. But here's what it looks like. This is that barren field right here off of Stingray Road to the south side of it. And there's a little bit of brush right in the northeast corner where you can find Brewers, Sparrow, loggerhead, shrike almost every time I've been there in the winter. And those are good birds. And you look out into this field and you got burrowing owls. When I was there on Saturday, there was 2 stray dogs that were like running around out here. And I saw this one burrowing owl that was like standing up really straight and rigid. And thankfully I don't know what the dogs were doing out there, but it looked like everything was all right. Here's some burrowing owls. Here's a better picture than the burrowing owl pictures I showed you before. These are from Tom. This is kind of like, you can see the dirt right here. Sometimes they'll stand up and look like little dirt clods. My guess is that, and Tom, of course, let me know if I'm wrong, but this looks like a picture off of Hardin Road. That's my guess anyways.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, that's what it looks like, those little dirt clods right there, and how close you're able to get. You won't be able to get that close from this spot off of Stingray, but it's just pretty cool to be able to see what Wild at Heart is doing in this area. And it's also on both sides a good spot to look for horned larks. Again, mountain bluebirds and western meadowlarks, Brewers, Sparrows. Sometimes there's big like raptor, like swarms of raptors, those are called kettles. They can be filled with common ravens. They can be filled with black vultures or turkey vultures, or we've seen red-tailed hawks, of course, Ferruginous hawks, Cooper's hawks. I know that Merlin and peregrine falcon have been seen in this area. So it's a cool spot to check out. And then as you go down a little bit further, not very much further, you come across the Miranda wastewater treatment plant. Now there's some areas of the plant where you can't bird, and then there's other spots that is open for you to walk in and to bird. So I'm gonna share with you some pictures and the map on where you can go, where to park, because sometimes it's a little bit awkward to be able to go to a new spot, especially a wastewater treatment plant where there are some places where you can't go and others where you can. And so I think this will be helpful. This is what the wastewater treatment plant area that we can bird, what it looks like this past Saturday. You can see the water down in here. It's a really great spot, and one that I just discovered at the beginning of the year. I knew it was there. I didn't really know how to access it, but I learned how to access it at the beginning of the year because there were some really special longspurs that were being seen here. There's Lapland longspur, thick-billed longspur, and I think chestnut color longspur was coming into here as well, with flocks of horned larks. And so that's how I learned about it. The treatment plant is a good spot to look for waterfowl, northern shoveler, cinnamon teal, green-winged teal, mallards. And one time I was there was white-throated swifts flying around, leaf sandpipers each time I've been there, American pipits every time I've been there. Of course, again, for raptors, like all of these spots that we're looking at here, we got to be looking for raptors, always scanning the power poles, looking up in the sky for kettles. And again, a good spot for longspurs. What the longspurs do is that they kind of come in kind of like popcorn and kind of come in from the ag fields, zoom in here to get a drink really quick, and then fly back out. So like They can be really hard to find. This is also a good spot for a scope. I know not everyone has a scope, but it is definitely helpful here. You know, what is off limits is you don't want to walk. Do not walk down into these ponds. So you're going to stay up. You're kind of looking down into it, and you're going to stay up on these hillsides. So here's where you park. You got these big stands of I can't even remember the name. Yeah, what is this stuff? These big stands of shoot, I can't even
Tamarask?
Tamarask, thank you. I knew someone would help me. Yeah, you know how that happens sometimes. The big stands of tamarisk right here. And you can see it. I'll show you here on this Google map too, because this makes it a little bit easier. So you come here off of Stingray. Sorry about that, folks. I just had too many thoughts going on in my mind, and I couldn't remember tamarisk. That happens. So you drive by where you're looking at the Burrowing Owls. You can see this big stand of tamarisk right here. And you can park right on that north side of the road next to the tamarisk. You can see this line right here. This is like a concrete irrigation ditch that if you're limber, you could hop over for sure. But not all of us are as limber as we'd like to be. So what I suggest is parking right here next to the tamarisk. And look, there's a little spot right here where you can just kind of scoot yourself through without having to hop over that ditch. And you walk just right through here. And there's these little ponds that sometimes have water. These are good spots to look for sparrows, Brewers sparrow, Savannah sparrow, Vesper sparrow. Okay, and so you kind of walk through here. You're kind of up on a hill, and you walk along this edge of the hill, and you're gonna see this pond is usually dry. Every time I've been here, it's been dry. And then just go to like right here, right where my little, you can see my making a little circle right there. And this pond right here, this one in the center on the north, is the pond that's been having water in it. Now, I don't know if water's in there all the time. There's been water every time I've been there since the beginning of January. So I don't know how long it's going to last, but for right now, it's a good spot. I have seen people walk around and go over to the north side of this pond. I would suggest not to do that. I would suggest staying right here, not being too invasive and walking around everywhere, but just staying in this certain area right here along this section where it is okay to go, and let's not create any issues by going into other spots where we shouldn't be. There's no need to walk up over around it or on the north side. You can look at it really good from right here from this point where my mouse is at. My little arrow is at. So here's what it looks like. You park there, you walk through here. This is one of those little ponds that you'll walk by where I said it was really good for sparrows. This is what the dry pond looks like as you walk up to the pond that has water. I've never really seen anything out in this dry pond. So you just walk by it, and then you go out to where the point to look out over the water. And you never know what's going to show up at one of these little ponds out in the middle of the ag fields. And I believe that as we get further into February, closer to March, you'll start getting northern rough-winged swallows, barn swallows. You'll be getting some other, early migrants that are coming through that you might be able to spot there. So before we get to the next treatment pond, any questions here, Jim?
Yeah, a few. Could you go back to the entrance to the Veterans Memorial Cemetery? We showed the ditch there. A picture.
Sure. Right there?
That one right there.
Yeah.
Okay. Is birding accessible? They want to know on the left side going down that ditch there, is that private property?
So I know people have gone down that way. I personally don't feel comfortable going on that little ditch road because I don't know if it's private property or not. While I was here this time, there was a truck that came in from over here on the left that was driving in the ag field, and then he drove down that road along the ditch while I was parked here. He had no problem with me parked here, but you know, I don't know, so I would say be on the safe side. Stay on the main Luckett Road over here since it's burned. Since all this is burned now, you can look out here. You can't see as far down, but you can. I would say just stick on that east side.
Okay, and then just a confirmation then on off of Stingray where the burrowing owls are, that fenced area, that again is not accessible, right? All the birding's to be done from the road.
Correct. Yeah, I don't know if people have, but there is a access road. You can see the fence here. I think the fence ends just over here to the left of where the picture ends, and you could walk down there, but I don't think you should. I think it's private, and I don't want any of us birders to push the luck of what we do have access to. So just staying along the road while you aren't going to get real close to the burrowing owls. If that's just what we need to do.
Yeah, Tom said that he had seen sage thrashers in this picture that you're in that area you're talking about.
I was going to bring that up, but every time I'm there, I've never seen them. And I think Tom had them, I think it was like in December, but this is true. So what's interesting, sage thrashers and brewer sparrows really like that. I used to see sage thrashers and brewer sparrows together in the same habitat on their breeding grounds in Washington State. And what's interesting is that I've always seen brewer sparrows here, and wherever you see brewer sparrows, especially in the winter, pay attention for the opportunity to see a sage thrasher because they do like the same sort of habitat.
Okay, and then just a note here, Linda said that they were there Saturday and spoke to a wastewater treatment plant worker who said they're going to put signs up due to the birders. She said, don't turn right and park in the area near the treatment plant buildings.
Yeah.
So there's stuff going on there for sure.
Thank you for that reminder. I was going to bring that up. So I showed you what to do, right? I've also, and if that hadn't been brought up, I was going to forget this, what not to do. Okay. I'll repeat. This is what not to do at any wastewater treatment plant. I have a friend who works for Pima County, and she, just was trying to get a hold of, the birder population in general to just remind them, hey, if you see a no trespassing sign, or if you see, a treatment plant that has gates closed, it's closed for a reason. So, and that's why I wanted to share with you where to park and where to access. But as you continue on the Stingray, it turns to the north. And here you can see all the other part of the wastewater treatment plant here. You don't want to park over here. There's no need to go anywhere past this stand of tamarisk for driving. So it's an active treatment plant. There's people working through here, and there's no access to this area over here on the west side of this road. So no need to go over there or to cause any issues. It's the hard part is that if you don't know any of this, and you see that, people doing lists from the wastewater treatment plant, it's natural to go up to the wastewater treatment plant and figure out a spot to park over here. And so let's together, let's do our best to make sure that we're, following protocol and sharing that with other people. So Yeah, thanks for that reminder.
And the last question, Luke, is during non-COVID times, does Audubon do field trips out in this area that you're talking about at all?
We haven't, but we would. In fact, we would be doing them out there for sure right now if there wasn't the whole pandemic thing. And definitely looking forward to that time when we can be out in the field together, as well as doing Zoom things like this. So yeah, it's coming. It's coming.
That's it.
Okay, great. Well, a few more spots that I want to share with y'all. There's another wastewater treatment plant near Miranda. Can you imagine that? And this is a treatment plant that I've actually, almost every time when I drive between Tucson and Phoenix, I'll stop here on the way up or I'll stop here on the way back down, as long as my family is okay with it. But it's fairly close to the interstate. It's called La Mirage Wastewater Treatment Plant. That's the, I believe that's the eBird hotspot name. And I have over 20 lists from this spot because I try to stop there as often as I can. It's, as you can see, it's nothing real crazy. It's this little pond right here, and then there's another little pond off to the right, and that's all it is. It's all surrounded by a fence. You just park on the side of the road, and you kind of have to sneak up because for some reason, well, you're fairly close. That's one reason why. But the ducks and the shorebirds tend to be fairly skittish here. So you kind of sneak up on there. A long-billed dowitcher is one that I saw this past Saturday. I've actually have a pretty good list of different shorebirds here, everything from Barrett's sandpiper, blackneck stilt. I think I have a long-billed curlew there. I think I have that there. I have yellow legs, of course, least sandpiper and spotted sandpiper, a good mix of waterfowl. Let me show you where this place is at. So let's go to the new share just real quickly. It's, like I said, it's nothing to write home about, but it's a spot that not very many people know about, and it's really accessible. And it's the same exit. So it's on the east side of I-10, the same Miranda exit. Instead of going to the west, you go to the east. And this is a big residential area. And right before you get to the residential area, you're going to take a right on this road right here. I guess it's County Road. Didn't know the name of it. But you follow this county road, past this little park, and it turns into Adonis Road. And there's like a, let me turn on the satellite and you can see this. There's like a couple different kind of like corral areas here and just barren open field. And it curves around to the east and then down, you start going south and it kind of curves around and you can see the treatment plant right here. There's no buildings. It's just two different little ponds that always have water in them. And you can see it's right next to the freeway. So before you get to this other little residential area, you just park right here in where it's sandy area and off the side of the road. And then you walk up to the ponds where that fence is at and you look out there. Now, February is a little bit early. You know, you're not going to have a lot of shorebird migration, but long-billed dowitchers, yellow legs, spotted sandpipers, and waterfowl like lesser scaup, ringneck duck. I usually have a Mexican duck there. It's pretty good for Mexican duck. And mallards too, so just be careful in your identification between mallards and Mexican duck. But it's a nice little spot. This is what it looks like where you park. So you just have like these little mesquites over here and on this corner, and you just kind of park off the side of the road. And then you walk up to where this fence is at and look out there. Now, later on in the year, I really like this spot when it comes into like April, May, and June. but I still keep it on my winter loop. The April, May, and June, there are a lot of blackneck stilts out here. So 20, 30, I don't think I'm exaggerating when I've seen close to 40 blackneck stilts out in this area. So it's totally worthwhile to stop at this little treatment pond area. And before we get into other questions, we'll go forward. So this is a spot that Tom actually introduced me to on New Year's Day, and I'm calling it the Cemex Pond. So you can see it's this huge pond. It's an active like cement place over here that's on the other side of the pond. It kind of comes around the other side of the pond. So I'll show you some pictures of what that looks like. And it's really helpful to have a scope here, but there's been snow geese, ringneck duck, lesser scaup, common merganser out here. It's been known as a spot for Western or Clark's grebe at different times. Not a whole lot of anything else. I've had a Say's Phoebe there both times in these dirt piles here. And it's kind of, you have to have a scope to really look down in there, but there's always been quite a bit of waterfowl, of course, American widgeon and mallards and pied-billed grebes out there. You can see this is what it looks like from this vantage point right here. There's like a little dip. You can see there's like these big kind of dirt piles here, and there's a dip where you can look down into the pond along this fence. Do not cross this fence at all. Stay on the side of the fence, and there's a little dip in this dirt pile where you can look down into the pond and look for waterfowl out there. And there's a dirt road right here that you just park off of the dirt road. There may be some cement trucks going back and forth here, so just give them a wide berth and be patient. And but park off to the side. You can see what it looks like. Here's the fence where I park off. And I'll show you, this is the Tangerine Road exit, off of I-10. I'll show you the Google map here. So here's I-10. Here's Tangerine Road. Right here, it goes east to west. It's the next exit south of the Miranda Road exit. And so you take the Tangerine Road exit. You can see right here, the Cemex apex spot right there. You can see this weird, it's got a weird color to the pond, to the lake, that's for sure. And you can see that right here. It's kind of like a aquamarine color. You take the Tangerine exit and you go west, and then you'll take the very first left, which kind of, there's a opening here that you can take a left, and you take this road, and then this is the dirt road that goes along this edge of the lake. And so you just kind of park over here, as you saw in the last picture, in the dirt. This is the fence. Stay on the side of the fence. Don't go back in here. Just, you'll see the little gap in the dirt ridge, and you'll be able to look out there and then just go back the way you came. Like I said, it's active. This whole area right here, it had some trucks going in and out. But as long as you just come in through that road, park off on the side, you're fine, and it's okay to go back in there, or to just bird from that location. But you never know what could be out there as far as waterfowl. Maybe you'll find a long-tailed duck. If you find a long-tailed duck, that would be pretty exciting. Jim, any questions on that?
Yeah, just people are kind of amazed that, since it's a washout apparently for the cement trucks, that the birds swim in there and that, and they sort of want to know if the water's bad for them, the birds.
Well, I was wondering that too. Like, what are they? So the snow geese have been there. There's been 4 snow geese there on New Year's Day. They're there last Saturday. There is a cornfield just on the north side of that. So maybe at different times they're flying back and forth from the cornfield. Maybe that's where they're eating. But I can't imagine there's anything like real. I mean, there are some cattails growing around some areas of the pond. But yeah, it's a little weird to me too.
Yeah.
Or what are the grebes doing in there? Like, are there fish in there? I don't know.
Yeah. No other real questions, just
Okay.
a lot of comments about other places people are suggesting to stop out off and see along I-10 there and stuff like that. So
Oh yeah.
people can check out the comments later.
Yeah, and feel free to email me if you have questions about any other spots. That's just like a few of the spots on that Miranda Loop that are kind of fun. If you want to go further out somewhere and do some exploring, I would say Parker Canyon Lake in February is pretty fun. There's a lot of waterfowl that use this lake, especially in certain areas. So right next around where the boat launch area is at can be really good on both sides of the boat launch. Yeah, it's a pretty cool spot, and it's, for those of us who want to get away from the city or get away from agricultural fields or want to get up in a little higher elevation to just kind of be somewhere different. It's a good body of water that not only waterfowl, but bald eagle or osprey is possible, maybe some different gulls or a loon. Had a lot of common mergansers out there in February before. And of course, there's some other, songbirds out there, like, of course, bluebirds, both western and eastern bluebirds. Lots of different subspecies of dark-eyed junco. You could get, Townsend's warbler out there in the winter too. So it can be a good spot. If you're willing to do a hike, if you want a fun little hike to do out there, there's a trail that goes all around the lake. And as you get to the very, I can't remember, kind of like, oh shoot, I should share this. I can't remember the my direction on Parker Canyon Lake, so we're gonna go there. Parker Canyon Lake is down here. It's a little far of a drive, but you go down through Sonoyta, you take 83, you can see it right here. It's on the west side of the Huachuca Mountains. Here's the marina. So if you take the trail, it goes all the way around, and on this north end of the lake, I've seen tons of birds, right? Waterfowl right through here, and there's some really good riparian area through here where you could possibly see Montezuma quail, Arizona woodpecker, and then this little finger just to the north of the marina can be really good too. So if you don't want to do the big loop, which is about 6 miles, this little finger here and this little finger to the south of the marina can be fun to explore. I just wanted to share that because not everyone wants a bird in the ag fields. And like I said at the beginning of the session, if you're coming into town and are looking for a spot to bird in February, really Whitewater Draw, the Danza Trail along Two-Back, and Santa Cruz Flats can be maybe the best spots, but we've talked about those in other sessions. The rare bird of the month, we do this every month. It's Sinaloa wren. It's been a little while since we've had a Sinaloa wren in the Southeast Arizona area. I think we're due for one. This is one that was around a couple Februaries ago, just south of Santa Gertrudis Lane on the Danza Trail. So if you're on the Santa Gertrudis, you take Santa Gertrudis and you go south on the Danza Trail, there's some old like cars that are kind of sticking out of the dirt in areas down there. You'll see it. You'll see that where the cars are at. And just to the east, east of that, between the cars and the river, it's kind of a good riparian area, and that's where this Sinaloa wren was seen. I believe it was 2018 February. I think it's 2018. it's just time. It's time for us to find one of those. So that's why I picked it. And February seems to be a good month for them. Listen for, I should have put that call on here. They have like a cool ratchet call. But you can go to Zeno Canto, look that up, and listen to the Sinaloa Wren. So with that, I'm going to take it off my screen share and see if anyone has any other questions or any other thoughts that you might have. Someone put in the chat, where is San Rafael Grasslands? I can share that real quick. You can see the state natural area right here. So here's how you get there is, let me scroll back a little more. You come from Tucson, which is up here, I-10, take 83 down to Sonoyta, and then from Sonoyta, go like you're heading towards Patagonia on 82. And then once you get into Patagonia, you're going to see a sign for Harshaw. I do have this, I believe, the November talk. So you can go to the November talk on our YouTube channel that I'll put in our follow-up email, and you'll see a little bit more direction on how to get there. But you take a gravel road that goes up over the Patagonia Mountains, and it comes out into this big grassland area here that stretches from about this road right here that bisects west to east on the north side, and then it stretches all the way down to Lokiel down here to the south, to the border. And this can be a really fun spot. Actually, so some years it's really good, some years it's really bad. I'm not saying it's really bad. It's just the grass didn't get a lot of rain. The grasslands didn't get a lot of rain last year, so the grass is really short this year. And so it just doesn't offer a lot of food resources, or a lot of the tanks are dry this year. So there's not a whole lot of birds out in this area, but it's a beautiful area, and there is the chance for chestnut collar longspur, which can be hard to find at different spots, and short-eared owl, loggerhead shrikes. It's a cool area to explore in the winter. I like it. Any other questions? Oh yeah, Dave direct messaged me and said Baird Sparrow's another good one for the San Rafael Grasslands, that's for sure.
Luke, I'm going to Flagstaff also next week. Is there any point in trying to bird where there's snow?
You know, I haven't done a lot of birding up in the Flagstaff area. And while I'm not a huge fan of snow, which is why I live in Tucson, you can get some really cool pictures in the snow of birds, that's for sure. And so you may not see a whole lot of variety or see a whole, large numbers of birds, but you can get some pretty cool, if you're a photography person, get some pretty cool pictures of birds in the snow.
Okay.
Luke, what road did you say off of in Patagonia?
So it's Harshaw Road, and I would encourage you to go back and check out the November talk, because that'll give you some more specifics that I probably wouldn't have time to right now. But as you come into Patagonia, you're going to come right into town, and you're going to take this little side road here. You can see this is Harshaw Avenue. And Harshaw Avenue winds its way through a little bit of residential here and heads to the east. And it's paved up to a certain point up here. I think after where Harshaw Creek Road goes off to the east, and Harshaw Avenue continues to the south. Right around there is around where it turns into gravel. And it's actually fairly well signed, and you just come through these back roads towards the grasslands. And it's a little intimidating, but the signage is actually pretty good. You just stay on that main road, and travel east. And then you'll come up on kind of an overlook where you have the Oaks and the Patagonia Mountains behind you, and then you have the grasslands that go out into the to the east and to the south. It's pretty cool.
And that's all open. You can just go there.
Yep. Yeah, there is a lot of private land in the grasslands as well. So some of the side roads to tanks have gates across them, and so the rule of thumb is don't cross over any fences, and don't go through any gates. That's just kind of the rule of thumb. But
Luke, Teresa.
Go ahead, Jim.
Teresa wanted to know, do you need high clearance there to get to the San Rafael grasslands?
No, not necessarily, unless you want to go on some of the side roads. Sometimes you need it, or if it recent rain, sometimes some of the roads can get kind of bad. But the main roads are really pretty accessible. I did get a flat tire one time going on one of those roads in my Jeep, but I don't think that had to do with clearance or anything like that. So you should be fine. But it is gravel, so just so you know that.
Luke, I have a question about whitewater draw. Besides the cranes, do the birds that are there change much from November through February or March? Like, is there a reason to visit multiple times over the winter?
So there's definitely more cranes there now than there were in November.
Yeah,
and I do think it changes a little bit, but not very much from like late November to early to mid-February. Once you get into later February and early March, then that's when things really start to kind of make the transition. So cranes will start moving out. I think there might be more snow geese there right now, but the snow geese will be moving out. You'll see some changes in blackbird flocks. You'll start getting swallows coming in the first part of March. You'll start getting Swainson's hawks in the middle of March, and all the cranes will be gone. So really, it's March when the big change happens. It seems like I'm always anticipating it to change in February, and then I'm disappointed because the change it's still the same.
Okay.
Like I'm always ahead of things. So I think it's March when things really start changing.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, Debbie, good to see you.
Yeah, good seeing you.
So I see a few more questions here. Someone asked about the burrowing owls. It came in late, and the burrowing owl session part was really more at the beginning. So be sure to check out on that on the recording. I'm always up for questions, or if you have specific questions about a location, or hey, I really want to find blank species of bird. Where would I go to find one? It seems like I never have time to get to everything, but I love those types of questions. So if you don't hear from me right away, just know I'll respond as soon as I can. And I like that kind of stuff. So, just part of, the good part about being together as a Tucson Audubon group is that we get to share information and help each other out. We're all about that. Any other questions? You feel free to unmute yourself if you have something you want to ask. All right. Well, I think that's it then. Thanks to all of you for being here, and looking forward to February. I'll be honest, February was a hard month for me to come up with new spots because it's so similar to November and December and January. We talked about a lot of those spots already, but March is a great month because things start to change, and I already have my locations picked for March. One of my favorite spots to see Scott's orioles, because that's one of the birds that comes in a little bit earlier than other migrants. And I love the way they sound. I love the way they look. I can't wait for these migrants to come in. But one more month of winter birds, and then we'll be there. So have a great rest of your day, and talk with you again soon.
Thanks, Luke.
Thank you.
Thanks
so much,
Luke.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Luke.
Yeah.
Thanks. Bye.
And special thanks to Jim for helping me with the questions. He's
Jim.
love our volunteers. So thanks, Jim.
Thanks, Lou. Yep, enjoyed it.
All right. See you guys later.